عافية.
Well, so I started recording right now. Today we will talk about a kind of a summary for the play, what actually happens. The most important thing is what happens in act number one, because you will find that there is a kind of similarity in the other acts with a little bit change, all right, in the characters, but the same actions. So we have here two major characters. One is called Jimmy Porter. He is, I mean, the the major character, and his wife is called Allison. And a third character is their own friend. His name is Cliff. Uh, the problem is around the relationship between Jimmy Porter and his wife, Allison. So we find that the conflict is an internal conflict within the family. It happens, it is no longer an international conflict that deals with big major problems. One of the characteristics of the all right kitchen sink drama, it is that the conflict is internal, and we will also find another internal psychological conflict inside the major character called Jimmy Porter. Jimmy Porter is an educated man. He is highly actually educated man, but jobless. Why jobless? Because right of the regime that cannot hire him. He is from a lower class, from the Labor Party or the labor class, and his wife is from the upper class. So we will find some people, especially Marxists, they say that the whole problem is a problem of the classes. We will find that it is not actually a problem of the classes. The actual problem is a kind of a psychological problem inside Jimmy Porter himself. So we have other characters like right, but we don't see them except the father of Allison. We see him right for a while, and another woman. Her name is Helena. We will see her right in Act Two. But Act Two is going to be a kind of and the three replica to Act number one. So we need to know what happens in Act number one, and first we will go through Act Two and Act Three. So right, it starts or the whole play. It starts on a Sunday morning, right? So in Sunday morning opens the play opens with Allison, right? You know, Sunday is a holiday. What does she do? Always she is ironing the clothes of both Jimmy and Cliff. She is at the ironing board, right? While Jimmy and Cliff, both of them, they sit in their chairs. They are reading the Sunday papers as usual, right? So this is what they do. They usually do every Sunday. Every Sunday, you will find while they are reading, okay, Jimmy starts complaining about what? About what he reads, right? He was reading the book reviews inside the paper, and what is his complaint? That half of the books, which are supposed to be in English, are written in French. So he is complaining or the beginning of his own anger, right? Why it is the beginning of his own anger? Because we said one of the reasons for the angry man, the school is the loss of identity or the lack of the English identity. So we find Jimmy here is not angry for a personal reason, but he is angry. Why? Because the English are no longer English. That half of the book reviews he's reading in his paper is in French. So the books are English, but the reviews are French. Why? Because of lack of identity. the English are no longer English. So we start usually, right, the beginning of the anger or the complaint, it starts because of right, what we call it, okay, public reasons more than personal reasons, right? Well, then what happens? We'll find he asks Alison if that makes her feel ignorant. Why? Because right, that they are books in English, but the reviews, half of them are in French. Do you feel ignorant? He is asking. Of course, he starts picking on his own wife. His own wife is the type of the silent person who works while her mouth is shut. But he's picking on her, right? By asking her, does it make you feel ignorant? But she replies that she was not actually listening to the question. Of course, now we will find that his anger is escalating. Why? Because he is not asking her whether she is listening or not. He's asking her a general question. Does the book reviews, which are in French, make you feel ignorant while you are reading them? So, because she is indifferent to his own interests and she doesn't listen to him, right, while he is thinking that this is a big issue that everyone is supposed to listen to him. Why? Because it represents the lack of the identity of the English people. So he starts now, right, what we call it, that the situation is looming, or right, that his anger is rising like the mercury. Right, Jimmy complains about the inertia of Alison. Inertia here means the indifference of Alison, and the inertia of the whole middle class of England. Of course, she is from not the high class, but she is upper class. The upper class here is represented by the middle class. So he complains not only about the difference of Alison, but also about the difference of the whole middle class, as if they don't belong to the country, they don't belong to the upper, they don't belong to the worries and the fears of the lower class. And therefore he turns to Cliff. Cliff is the opposite of Jimmy. What I mean, if Jimmy is very smart, you will find the Cliff is dumb. Right? If Jimmy is tall, you will find the Cliff is short. If Jimmy is thin, you will find the Cliff is fat. I mean, physically speaking and mentally speaking, they are two opposites. And I always ask myself, what made them friends? As long as both of them are completely different in their type of thinking, in the way in their interests, in their shapes, in their faces, what makes them friends? Is there anyone who can answer me about this question? That you find two people who are completely different in everything, but they are close friends, more than close friends. Do we have an explanation? Because usually we make our own friends based on our interests and equality of what? Equality of abilities and capacities. Rahat?
Yeah, I think mainly because Cliff is kind of indifferent and he just lets Jimmy go on, and he listens, although he doesn't really care.
The indifferent people. He hates the indifferent people. Do you understand?
Yeah, but
he accused the whole generation of being indifferent.
I don't know. I guess because Cliff bears him, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like Jimmy, Jimmy, what
we will find
what Jimmy says.
If someone read the play well, he would find the answer. Right? But I will keep it later. All right. What is the type of the relationship between Jimmy and Alison, and how can Jimmy and Cliff, how can we justify their own friendship? Although that they are completely different, we will see that. We will listen to Nadia Siam.
Well, I do partly agree with Rahaf, but I think also it's because they both are low class. So I think class kind of unites them.
Right. How many people do you have in your class? Do you have friends because of they are of your class, because of they are from your hometown, because they are neighbors? No, this is not a good basis. This is not a good basis. Amna Shabana.
Well, I think it is because of business. I think both of them like run the store of the candies.
Yeah, but do I make, I mean, my the one who works for me as my friend?
I think
In
it's the only thing that
my house?
unites them.
Reem?
Is it because of Alison? Because when I read the first act, um, Cliff told Alison that he wanted to leave their house, and then she told him that no.
Well, right. Okay, a little bit, but yet you are not giving a good explanation. Khulud Balata.
Well, actually, there is something in Act 3 when Cliff told him that he's leaving. He told Helena that he's a sloppy, irritating pastor, but he's got a big heart, and you can forgive somebody almost anything for that. So I think that's the reason.
Good Khulud. Batul. I'm not going to give you the final answer now. Although yani, it is very easy.
Yes.
Yeah. Batul.
Sometimes sometimes we like to listen to others who are different from us, maybe to escape from our thoughts to others' thoughts. It's like a way to know what others thinking about, maybe.
Maybe yeah, no, or maybe yes, and maybe no. Thank you, anyways. But it is good. What I mean,
Yes.
you are. I mean, yani 2 meters away from what? From the right answer. Sarah Hamman.
I don't know, but I think maybe they have the same way of dealing with reality, because I remember they have a play, a game they play together. So this game is like they used to forget or to escape reality, the same as Jimmy and Allison.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. Yes, Maram.
I think there's a kind of people who prefers the kind of friends that are different from them, maybe to see the world from a different perspective or something like that.
Okay, thank you, Maram. Well, right, we will come to what to know that they are really close friends, because his friendship is not only right. Cliff's friendship is not only to Jimmy but also to Allison. And I can give you a hint, right? What is the relationship? As Cliff says, right? Okay, because he is common. He is common. What does he really mean by the word common? I will explain it later, right? So Jimmy turns after, I mean, he found his wife doesn't listen to his own complaint about, okay, the books, the English books, which are reviewed in French, right? So he turns to Cliff and asking him, right, okay, Cliff, about being uneducated and ignorant. He tells him, does it make you an ignorant? Does it make you ignorant when you read them? لو طبعا السيد كليف بيقول له no. بيقول له it is because you are ignorant. So Jimmy teases him that he is uneducated and ignorant, and the Cliff accepts his own reality and he says, yes, I am ignorant and uneducated, and leave the girl alone. Right? Well, then what happens? Jimmy says that Allison, right, has not had thought for years, right? When, all right, Cliff tells him, right, leave her alone. She cannot think. He tells Jimmy, leave the girl. Girl here refers to whom? To Allison. Leave the girl alone. She cannot think. So Jimmy says, right, she had not a thought for years, right? Allison says, oh, طيب, خلاص, تمام. أنا بفكرش بس أسكت. Well, okay, Jimmy is depressed, right, by their Sunday routine, and says their youth is slipping away, slipping away. He finds that, right? He says, let's pretend that we are human beings. Let's pretend that we are actually alive. And we say, hallelujah, hallelujah, I have an idea, I am alive. So he thinks if you don't have an idea, right? If you don't think, you are not alive. You are not alive. And he considers, right, themselves that they are what? Let's pretend that we are human beings and we are actually alive. If we want to reverse this statement, what is his his view of their own existence? Let's pretend that we are human. So he suggests that they are not human,
Not alive.
and they are not alive. So what are they? Sarah?
Metaphorically dead.
Yes,
They are passive animals. Oh, sorry.
They are dead animals. So this is how he sees their own existence in the 20th century. As long as he says, let's pretend that we are human, which means, what does it mean? It means that his view of his own existence is not being a human, but he is an animal. And that we are actually alive, which means that they are not alive. It means that he sees himself and his wife and his friend and the whole generation that they are dead animals, not humans, not alive, not alive. Well, he then, all right, rails about what? About his wife, and he says that she doesn't think. The whole generation, they don't think. Nobody cares, no beliefs, no convictions, and no enthusiasm. Now we will find that his voice becomes louder and louder, louder and louder. And you will find that his anger is not because of personal reasons. He's not angry. He's angry on what? Angry on the indifference of the generation. Right? He is angry. Nobody cares. No beliefs, no convictions, no ideas. Right? And they are not enthusiastic at all. So we will find that, okay, the anger of Jimmy, right, who represents the whole movement of the young angry men, right, that the reasons behind their anger are not actually personal reasons, but it is collective reasons related to the generation, related to the dark future, right, of these people who are indifferent, who don't think, they don't have beliefs, they don't have enthusiasm, how dark it will be, how dark it will be. Well, so he says that England has lost her soul, that it is actually, it is what? Dreary living in the American age. So we are coming back to the same thing, the loss of identity, the lack of identity. So the English are no longer English in the modern time after 1948. As I told you, if you still remember, after 1945, England, right, won the war, but lost an empire, lost an empire. She was, England was #1 all over the world, the first world power before 1945. But after 1945, what happened? It became actually 10, right? Not 1, not 2. It became an attachment to America. Whatever America does in the external politics, all right, you will find England agrees. And, all right, subordinate to America, subordinate to the United States. So now he complains about what? About the lost power, the lost identity, the lost soul of of the Great Britain. Great Britain is only a name, but actually it is neither great nor Britain, neither great nor Britain. Why? Because they are living in the American age. England doesn't have politics. The politics of America is applied to England because no longer having a word power. A word power, and this what makes him also angry again and again. بس المشكلة انه يعني زي ما بقولوا العرس في عموريا واهل البريج بترجع. طب انت اذا كان غضبان على انجلترا وعايشين في الامريكان ايج، ايش لك في مرتك تكب عليها كل غضب الدنيا؟ Alright, he is angry because of the world, but who is the subject of anger? It is his own wife. It is his own wife. Yes. Well, so he then turns to Alison again, calling her the Lady Pusillanimous, right? Pusillanimous, phlegmatic, and right, which means coward, right? And he is not using the common language, but he is using the language which is actually a highly educated language, right? Which cannot be understood by whom? By right? By his friend Clef, but he is quite sure that his wife knows these words. Why? Right? We will, when we read, we will try to show you that these words, like the word pusillanimous and the phlegmatic, right? This is what he calls his own wife, a cowardly soul. Coward. How come? It shows you that he's a monster. He doesn't know how to deal with what? To deal with a woman. Who is that person who calls his wife pusillanimous? Well, and then he attacks women in general, not only Alison. Then he goes and attacks women in general. Alison and even Mrs. Drury, their landlady. Then his complete anger is poured against the mother of Alison. The mother of Alison is actually, right, the one whom he really hates. Why? Because she was the one, right, against the marriage of her own daughter to Jimmy, and used to call him a monster. Used to call him a monster. And you will know later why she calls him a monster. Because, right, yani, whenever we read, we will see how does he refer to his mother-in-law. Of course, right, he never calls her a mother-in-law. Mother-in-law. Right, Cliff and Jimmy then playfully wrestling. He tells him to stop. Right, they make a kind of wrestling, but while they are wrestling, actually, right, it was not a serious wrestling. Why he tries to tell him to shut up, right, to stop, right, and accidentally, while they are wrestling, right, we will find that he pushes the iron, right, he pushes, I mean, the stand over Alison and the ironing board. And the iron comes on the hand of Alison. On the hand of Alison. Alison, right, has burnt her arm and finally tells Jimmy to get out. You will find the one who is actually soft, the one who never responded to all the complaints and the blah blah of her own husband, now is becoming a tigress. Telling him, move your face away. I don't want to see you here. And you will find Jimmy himself, the one who is actually bombastic, and whenever he is exploding, no one can stop him, now becomes like a little boy, and listens to what? To the scolding of his own wife. His wife scolds him and he listens like a little child. And he tells him, get away from my face. What happens, right? Okay, he goes softly to the bedroom and they start playing his own trumpet. He doesn't even say a single word. And I'm trying to explain, right? How come? How come this person who is unstoppable, like a train, without brakes, without what makes him like this? By the time his wife tells him, stop it and go to your bedroom, as if he's a little child, grounded, right? to stay in his own bedroom. He goes there and he plays with his own toy. What is his own toy? It is what? The trumpet, and he starts what? Start playing on his trumpet in the bedroom. Who is left behind in front of the, of the audience? Okay, Cliff and Allison. Cliff, right, it tries to put some creams on the burning of her arm, and she tells him at that time that she is pregnant, right? But she is afraid to tell Jimmy, right, that she is pregnant because she is afraid she will be accused that she already planned it. He will get angry and furious. Why? Because he doesn't want his wife to get pregnant. Do you know why? Because it is another mouth to feed. Another mouth to feed. But he doesn't, he's jobless. What does he do? He is selling candies in a stall. يعني عامل له ستول. عارفين ايش ستول؟ كوخ، بسطة زي ما بنسميه احنا. بسطة على شارع البحر، كل اللي بيروحوا يمشوا على شارع البحر بيشتروا ندفة إذا لقوا whatever. Can you imagine someone who's highly educated, a graduate of a high university, but he is making what? Selling candies in a store. حاطط له زي اللي موجودين على باب الجامعة بسطة وحاطط لكم ايش؟ شوية candies وبيبيع فيها. So he will get angry because if she is pregnant, it means that what? This is a new mouth to feed. And he even cannot feed himself. How he is going to feed a new mouth to come, right? Then when he feels that the situation became already better, right? He reestablishes himself and goes out of the room, right? For a cigarette and to ask his own wife for forgiveness, as if he is a little child, as I told you again, right? Who messed up with his mother, and she grounded that little child in his room for a while, and then you will find the little child goes out of the room in order to what? To talk playfully with his own mother in order to tell him خلاص يلا أنا مسامحك، أنا إيش؟ مسامحك وما تعملهاش المرة الجاية. Right? Jimmy tells Allison that he wants her, right? They play their private game of squirrels and birds. She tells her you are a beautiful, beautiful squirrel. زي ما بيجي البنت أو الولد يدلع أمه ماما أنا بحبك، okay? And الأم هبلة بتعاود ترضى على ابنها وبتقول له you are a big bird, you are a big bird. And this is one of the best imagery you can, right, explain the character of Jimmy. Jimmy is a bird. Do you know what is famous about the birds? Birds, they don't have a herd. Birds, especially male birds, they live alone. They never live with a family, and they are very angry. They are very big in size, very powerful, and very lonely, unlike the squirrels. The squirrels are very timid, very beautiful, wide-eyed squirrels with beautiful, right, tails, and they live in families. So whenever he says to Allison that you are a squirrel, right, actually he's reflecting her own character as being soft, timid, beautiful, with fairy tail, right? But the bird, also when she tells him that you are a bird, right, actually she is reflecting his own character as being strong, tough, right? Not timid, savage. He's savage, yeah. And lonely, because the birds, they don't have herd, they don't have family, they live lonely all the year, except in the mating season. And after the mating season, you will find right, that the female bird, it will live with the children, and the male bird will go away to live alone again, to live alone. So here, right, they are playing a game. What is this game? A game of squirrels and birds, right? That she represents the squirrel and he represents the bird. What is that? The bird follows the squirrel. The squirrel escapes from the bird. Why do they play this game? Why? Alison, right, was about to tell him about her own pregnancy. The question why they are playing this game will be answered whenever we come to the analysis, right? But it is also a question for you to think about. What is the reason? Why do they play the game of squirrels and birds? Alison is about to tell him about of her pregnancy when Cliff returns to say, Helena Charles, right, a friend of Alison, whom Jimmy hates, is on the phone downstairs. Who is Helena? Helena is actually from the upper class, but she is the Alison's friend before she gets married. And if I want to use the expression, I don't want to use mine because I'm leaving my expression of analysis of the character of Helena right in the analysis period, right? But I want to use the expression of what is his name? Jimmy himself, right? About Helena. He says, right, that she is my natural enemy. He says she is mine. About whom? About Helena, the natural enemy. Do you know what is a natural enemy? Right? الفار مين الناتشرال انمي تبعه؟ بس. والبس مين الناتشرال انمي تبعه؟ الكلب. So if we find that Jimmy is a mouse, you will find Helena is the natural enemy that preys on him. And if he's a cat, that Helena will be the dog, which also preys on what? Preys on, right, on him. So you expect that this character, Helena Charles, if whenever I come to analyze her own character, you will realize that this woman is her existence in the play, although it is minor, but it is very necessary, right? In what? In for the right the change in the course of what of the dramatic action. So Helena Charles, the friend of Alison, right? Okay, whom Jimmy hates. طبعا Jimmy doesn't love anyone. Jimmy hates everything, right? He hates himself. He's a self-hater, right? He doesn't only hate himself, he hates all women, right? Can we say he's a misogynist? Yes, he's a misogynist. Like whom? I want you to keep a Shakespearean character in your mind, which is actually a replica to Jimmy Porter. What is that character? Is there anyone who can tell me who is that character, a Shakespearean character? Rahaf.
I think it was
Hamlet.
Hamlet, yes. Actually, whatever, we will analyze him as the modern Hamlet. As the modern, right? If you still remember when we said that the character of Hamlet is actually an enigma, right? Jimmy Porter is a modern enigma. His own character is a modern enigma, and I will show you later why. Right? Because he has multi-dimensional, and every dimension is the opposite of the other. يعني بنقول واحد كويس ممتاز وطيب وهو حقود. طيب صح وحقود صح، بس كيف طيب وحقود؟ Because طيب is the opposite of حقود, but you will find both of them right in one character. Right? Jimmy Porter, he has multi-dimensions, not only two dimensions, multi-dimensions, and every dimension is the opposite of the other. Like whom? Like Hamlet. Well, right. So ما عندهمش تلفون بينزلوا عند دكانة شو اسمه البياع اللي تحت زي المصريين زمان. So Alison goes to talk to her, and when Alison returns, she says that she has invited Helena to stay with them during her engagement at the local theater. All right, Helena says that she is an actor, and she is actually an actor. يعني زي ديكستر، يعني مش عارف اذا عارفين شخصيه ديكستر ولا لا. رايت؟ ما فيش حد يعني ممثله فعلا. رايت؟ Now who is going to become deeply furious؟ كيف بتعزميها وانت عارفاني قديش بحبها؟ رايت؟ ايش هالهبل؟ انت عارفه انه جوزك بكرهها، كيف بتعزميها تقعد عندك في الدار؟ This is why one of the personal reasons that we might put it as personal reasons of anger, that his wife cannot actually understand, right, the way of her husband's thinking, what he really likes and what he really dislikes, right? And if she is not able to understand what he really likes and he dislikes, it means that there is a kind of a problem in their own life. So she told him, oh, okay, I invited Helena to come and to stay with us because she is going to play in a theater, a local theater. And look at this. Jimmy launches his most shocking attack. لدرجة إنه الواحد لما يسمع اللي بيقوله بصير يرتعش. الكلام اللي حيوان. Excuse my language. عفوا يعني. I'm sorry, but I can't try an equivalent to that word, but I am saying حيوان. This is my own, not my own expression. It is his own expression. He said, let's pretend that we are a human and we are actually alive. But he is not a human. He is an animal, يعني. Right? Jimmy launches his most shocking attack on whom? On his own wife. Why? Because why did you invite this devil to come inside our own house? And she is actually a devil. She is actually a devil. أنا بديش أبدأ الآن التحليل في شخصيتها، ولكن يعني I'm going to what? Yes, مين بيحكي? Is there anyone who would like to say anything? Ask anything? But I'm going to lead to link her character to another character, not in Shakespeare, but right in the Odyssey. Do you know the War of Troy? Have you ever heard of the War of Troy? In the Iliad, in the Iliad. Who is the writer of Iliad? Homerus. عمركم سمعتوا بهوميروس؟ والله نايمين يا شباب، والله انكم نايمين. لو قلنا لكم اوكي عارفين فيلم تروي تبع براد بيت، راح تقولي لي والله
كيراكاس.
حلو.
She's the writer of the Iliad.
نعم.
كيراكاس.
Right. These are two characters, right? Helen and Helena. Helen is the wife of of Agamemnon, the chief leader, and Helena is actually the one who eloped with Paris and caused the destruction of the old world by the Iliad War. The Iliad War, the destruction of Troy. Because of what? Because of her lust. And this is Helena. This is a clue. This is what? A clue, but not actually a good analysis right now. Later, we will tell you what is the function of her own character inside our own play. Well, then, he tells Alison that if she were to have a child, يعني بقول لها بتمنى من قل غضب أتمنى لو يصير لك ولد. And if that child would die, والولد هذا كمان يموت. Right? And she might suffer enough to become a human being. He doesn't know that she is pregnant. شفتوا يعني واحد بتمنى انه مرته تجيب ولد وهذا الولد يموت وهي تعاني من وراء موته عشان تصير ايش؟ human being. I told you that It's an animal. I'm paraphrasing what he really said. But if whenever we read and we see his own anger, whenever he talks to her, when he tells her, I want to see you, okay, yeah, crawling into the mud, and I will stand into your own tears and sing and splash into them. I want you to see you what حاجات غريبة كيف بيقولها لمرته. أنا الله أعلم هذا لا بيستاهل مرة ولا يحلف عليها بالطلاق.
He's toxic.
Yes. Yara.
Yes.
What did you want to say?
He's toxic. He's a toxic person.
Toxic. He's more than that, sister.
You know, the biggest problem is that he actually thinks he's better than other humans, which
no,
is
he's not. He's not a narcissist. Do you know what? Right? He is not having these views of himself as a human being, right? وبقول لها اتمنى
I know.
ولد كأنه الولد هذا مش راح يكون ابنه يعني.
Yeah, I know I know he's not a narcissist. What I mean is, he thinks he's the only person on earth who understands life. I mean, like, yeah, he has good reasons to be angry, but his way of expressing his anger is just horrible. He's a horrible person, even if he has ideas.
Yes, and look at this. It seems that like a code to him. What do I mean by a code? Right? To become a human being, you need to suffer enough. If you don't suffer, you are not a human being. So the only way of becoming a human being is through suffering. Is it through suffering? And he doesn't consider his wife as being a human being. Why? Because she did not, or she had not suffered enough. Well, then act number 2, scene number 1. It is evening 2 weeks later. Helena and Allison are getting ready to go to church. Of course, he is not a believer. He never went to a church, and he never allowed his wife to go to a church. He considered all the churchmen and all the people who go to what? They are hypocrites, and they are actually tangled to the outside shell of the religion rather than the religion itself. And this is why, right, he always refused, right, to go to the church, and right, he always refused his wife to go to the church. And now Helena is coming to convince Allison to go to the church, and he himself, right, against his own will, against what he really likes. Allison is stupid. Why? Because she knows her husband doesn't like her to go to church. Helena is coming to take her there. You see, you can imagine what's going to happen. Jimmy is in Cliff's room, right? They are practicing the jazz on his trumpet, right? Jimmy's friend Hugh, right? Look at this. Jimmy had a friend called Hugh. Hugh is a black guy. This Hugh was monstrous, monstrous than Jimmy himself. What I mean, if Jimmy is a monster, right, you did not see Hugh. You did not. It would be much better to say, right, أن تسمع بهيو خيرا من أن تراه. Right? But Hugh's mother, right, was a very kind lady. Hugh's mother, very kind lady, and she used to look after Hugh and Jimmy. Jimmy, right, never had a mother, never had. His mother left him with his own husband, right, with his own father, right, while he is still young, about a few years old. And therefore, he loves Hugh's mother, the only woman that he really likes, right? Hugh's mother. Why? Because he remembers that she was really kind to him when he was young, and he was the friend of Hugh, right? Hugh's working class mother, who is provided the money needed to start the candy business, وعطته فلوس عشان يبني ايه كمان، حتى لو هو كبير عطته مصاري عشان يعمل الباستا تبعته, right? They are discussing it. Then they will receive a call saying that Hugh's mother is dying. Hugh's mother is really ill and she's dying. Right, we will find that Jimmy wants to go to Hugh's mother and he wants to take his own wife with him. But she says, no, I don't want to go with you to see Hugh's mother, and I want to go to the church with Helena. Look how stupid she is. Well, right, Alison talks of being cut off from her own kind and people. تقول انه انا عايشه لحالي, right, ما فيش على اهلي ولا ابويا ولا امي, right? And she still had not told Jimmy that she is really pregnant. And after Cliff and Jimmy enter, Jimmy launches into another attack on the establishment in general, right? And Alison's mother in particular, زي كل أحد. But then he then tells of keeping his father's company, tells Helena, right? يعني that I waited with my own father a day after a day when he was actually during the Victorian war in India, right? His father was injured and they returned him while he is injured to his family, and he was really dying. The mother did not want, mother of Jimmy did not want to look after Jimmy and the wounded father, and left both of them. This is why he hates women, right? Because he hates his own mother. بتذكركم بحدا هذه؟ مين بذكركم؟ Hamlet.
Yeah, I think, yeah, Gertrude, who married his uncle.
Yeah. Okay. And therefore, right? And he tells Helena, you came here like a curse. You think that, right, that you know life. You don't know life. I will tell you what's the meaning of life, right? I am the one who learned at an early age, right? And to be angry and helpless. Why? Because I waited for, to the breath of my own father a day after a day till he died. While I'm a person, I don't know what is the meaning of words, but I know the breath of my own father while he's dying. This is why he is angry on his own mother who left them while the father is dying and he is young, right? And this is why I learned at an early age what is it to be angry, right? And not only angry, but helpless. As I told you, right? Anger is a form of helplessness, exactly like irony. If I cannot change something, either to become ironic or to become angry, but anger is a sign of what? Of helplessness. He was called to the phone. Helena tells Alison that she has telegraphed Alison's father. بتقول لها أنا كمان كلمت أبوكي من وراء ظهرها ومن وراء ظهر جوزها, right? Helena made a telegraph, right, to Alison's father to come and take her. Why? Because you are living with an animal. This is, you cannot live with him anymore. أنا قلت له تعال خد بنتك ولا حياكلها هذا الديب, right? So يعني تصوروا هالحيوانة. I'm sorry for this word, but انت ايش دخلك يعني؟ هي مش متصله في ابوها، انت تتصلي بابوها وتقولي لها تعال خد بنتك لحسن ياكلها الذيب. Well, Jimmy returns and says his mother had a stroke, right? And he will go to London to be with her. He tells Alison that he needs her to go with him, but like his own mother, she leaves him when he needed her most. Again, like his own mother, she leaves him when he needed her most. بقول لمرته تعالي معايا أنا عايزك. بده يفرجيها لمين؟ لهيو's mother, the only woman he really appreciates, and right, for all her. But she says, no, I want to go to the church. I want to go to the church. Well, then she leaves with Helena. She lives with Helena, right? You can imagine what is his own psychology. Now we have personal reasons for getting angry. Not only, right, yani, right, we will see in scene 2, it is the following evening, and the father of what? Of Allison, Ija. Allison's father is visiting, right? He sees some right on Jimmy's side. يعني مش شايف انه جيمي غلط، على العكس يعني بيعتقد انه جيمي صح لانها هي لازم تكون معاه. And he was horrified by his wife. يعني why؟ لانها she makes brutal attempts to prevent Allison from marrying Jimmy. يعني انا شايف جيمي كويس وامك ما لهاش يعني، بس هو ما بيستجريش يقول هذا الكلام قدام مراته. خدوا بالكم ليش؟ لانه برضه نفس الشيء يعني، انتوا عارفين الناس بس بقول هذا الكلام من ورا ظهرها. Right, well, he says, right, to Allison that you and I are much alike. الأبو لاحظوا شوفوا كيف التحليل ما لزه. Right, that you and I are much alike in that both of us, we like to sit on a fence. It is rather comfortable. يعني indifferent. لا إلى هؤلاء ولا إلى هؤلاء. Who usually sits on the fence? It is the squirrel. Who sits on the tree? It's she. I mean that you are like myself, right? You don't belong. You are married to what? To a bear, but you are still a squirrel. You never jumped into the land of the squirrel. You are sitting on the fence. Between whom and whom? Between the class of your own mother and your family and the ground of the bear that you got married to. And you like to sit on the fence. Do you know why? Because it is rather comfortable. So here, indirectly, he is actually the father here. He is strengthening the idea that the idea of what of Allison's character as a squirrel, right? Who likes to sit on the fence rather than jumping into the ground of the comfortable. فهي بتقول أنا يعني فيش حد بعرفش حد من أهلي. And she is not belonging to her husband. At the same time, she knows everything about him, but she is not doing what he really likes, and she's not preventing herself of doing what he really dislikes. And therefore, right, we find that she doesn't belong on the fence, right? She neither jumps into the ground of her own husband nor returning back to her own class and life. Right? Why? Because it is rather comfortable. Allison tries to explain why she married Jimmy. All right? Why she married Jimmy? Because he's different. She says that I got married to Jimmy because he is different. I found that all the young people around to me, they are blank, right? They are thoughtless. The only right person that I found with enthusiasm, with different words, with different right character, with different sharpness in the eyes, it was what? Jimmy. Again, as long as you got married to someone because he is different, why are you asking him to become the same? Right? So she got married to him because he is different. She has to accept that reality. He is different, not the same as her own class and her own people. Helena comes in, and following shortly by Cliff, Helena will stay one more night so she can attend the audition nearby. يعني جابت الزلمة أخذ بنته وروح وقالت لا أنا بدي أضلني. يا سلام يا سلام. Allison asks Cliff to give a letter to Ginny, but he refuses. Why? Because he tells her that if you want to give him a letter, give him yourself. Give him yourself. Jimmy comes back, right? After the death of Hugh's mother dies, right? He reads Allison's letter, right? Helena tells him Allison is pregnant, and Jimmy says that he doesn't care. شوف كمان بعد ما اجى قالت له انت ما دريتش مش مرتك حامل. يا سلام. I don't care. He has watched his mother die exactly as he watched his father die. He has watched his mother die, and no pity for Alison. He turns on Helena, calling her evil-minded. The evil-minded, and she is actually evil-minded. She is evil-minded. هذه اللي عندها صاحب ولا عندها نيلة. Right? She slaps his face. Right? بقول لها عاد ساعتها انا بدي I'm going to repeat. لما قال لها انت evil-minded انت حيوانة، قال لها هيك باختصار. بتقول له ضربته كف على وجهه، بقول لها don't ever think to do it again. You are mistaken if you think I am a gentleman. ايش يعني؟ اصحي تعمليها مرة ثانية.
يعني أنا حيوان.
Exactly. Don't be mistaken that I am a gentleman. يعني لو ضربتيني حخلعك بوكسي بدلك. Then he cries, he himself cries in despair, which shows us that he really loves his own wife. Act 3, scene 1. What happens? It is early Sunday evening, several months later. Jimmy and Cliff, right, in their own armchairs, they are reading the Sunday newspaper. But who is ironing this time? It is not Alison. It is Helena. Helena is in the ironing board, right? Okay, I told you that she is not a woman, right, of, I mean, a simple mind. All seems very relaxed. They talk about the newspaper article, and Jimmy starts on religion and politics as usual. كالعادة. Jimmy and Cliff, right, start singing and dance, and then will start wrestling as they did in what? In act number 1. Cliff shirt goes dirty and Helena leaves to wash it. Cliff says, right, he is going to move out and give up the candy store. بقول له لما راحت هيلينا قال له انا خلاص انا بطلت وبدي امشي. بقول له ليش؟ Right, we will give that answer later because it has something to do with the analysis of his own character. But at that moment you will find the door opens and Alison enters. She looks ill, very sick, obviously thinner than before. هي كانت اصلا ناشفه بس نشفت كمان. Jimmy exits بيطلع and leaves the two women looking at each other. لقت مين؟ لقت هيلينا في وجهها. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. Well, right. ساعتها على طول, right? It is a moment later, the sound of Jimmy's trumpet, he is playing in the room. Alison suffered a miscarriage. زي ما تمنى لها بالضبط that you would have a child and that a child would die. So she had a miscarriage. She lived the moments of suffering. She says that she doesn't know why she came. مش عارفة ليش جت. I don't know. Helena says that she is all over between her and Jimmy, right? That she realizes that what he has been doing is wrong. يعني بعد مفيش بينه وبينه أي حاجة خلاص أصلا هو حصرم. مش يعني تعرفوها كلمة حصرم؟ حصرم لإيش هذا؟ مش قالوا
العنب الحامض.
أيوة
العنب الصغير.
ما هو الديب اجى مره بده ياكل العنب ما طالش صار ينط على العنب ينط يقول العنب لحد ما طالش ولا حاجه في الاخر بيقول لك ما هو حصرم ومشي مش قصر ديل يسعر ما هي لقيتها بعد ما اوكي بتقول حصرم انا ما فيش بيني وبينها اصلا انا اللي عملته يا شيماء
اللي مش طايل العنب بيحكي عنه حصرم او شيء هيك يعني.
ايوه هذه اغنيه خليجيه
أغنية الأحلام.
أحلام
الشمسي
الملكه ايش يا هيا والله انك خبيره يا هيا.
لا علشان هي بتحكي اللي ما يطول العنب عشان ما دام طويل.
ايوه هو هي هذه اللي ما يقول عنه العنب يقول عنه
حمضا عنه يقول
حصره. Okay. And she cannot live with that. Then she leaves. Who leaves? لاحظوا إنه by the coming of Allison, right? Again, feeling pain, feeling suffering, we will find that Helena leaves directly. ما بنشوفهاش. بمجرد ما تيجي أليسون بتطلع هيلينا على طول. Allison says that she will go, right? Then, right, بقول لها كليف اقعدي، بعدين بقول لها جوزها اقعدي, right? He softens and talks of the old bear going through the forest of the life alone, right? He starts playing the game of bears and the squirrels again, right? He remembers their first meeting and says, I may be a lost cause, but I thought if you loved me, it need not a matter. هذه الكلمة الوحيدة اللي حلوة اللي قالها لمرته في كل المسرحية. I might be a lost cause. أنا قضية خسران. بس ما دام أنت بتحبيني مش مشكلة. بس هي كلمة قوية يعني. I might be a lost cause, but I thought if you loved me, right, I need not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as you love me. Well, fine. Allison cries and says she is in pain, right? She tells him, I am in the mud, زي ما crawling, زي ما أنت كنت بداياني. Jimmy gently comforts her, right? They enter into their game, birds and squirrels, in what is apparently a kind of reconciliation between both of them. وبتخلص إيش؟ المسرحية. And I am going to stop here and we will start the analysis إن شاء الله يوم الخميس. إيش رأيكم؟ يا جماعة في عندنا محاضرة يوم الخميس.
بس إنه محاضرة الأمريكي من 12:30 ل2 بس ناخذ بعين الاعتبار بس هذا الوقت.
على 5 بنعمل.
Great.
يوم الخميس الساعة 5 ما تنسوش إن شاء الله. يوم الخميس الساعة 5 عندنا محاضرة عشان نبدأ التحليل. بتكون مهمة جدا. عندكم أي أسئلة قبل ما أنهي؟
شكرا يعطيك العافية دكتور.
الله يعطيكم ألف عافية. يلا مع السلامة.
الله يعطيك العافية.
عافية.